Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention, education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop.
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
All right, good evening. My name is Mark Benskop. 5 minutes after 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Let's get ready to rock and roll. You can share the link, let folks know that we're on. And I honestly wish that we were broadcasting live in front of the Guyana Elections Commission's office. Something isn't right. And for those of you who remember, I believe there's a gentleman by the name of Laurie Alexander. And Laurie Alexander will usually say, things na regular. And for those of you who are Guyanese, you would know what that means, right? Things na regular. Things na regular means that something isn't right at all. What is happening at the Guyana Elections Commission's office, headed by Claudette Singh. Claudette Singh is the chairwoman of the Guyana Elections Commissions, and not a single word, not a press, nothing. It probably, the perception out there is that they are cooking up something. They are cooking up something. If you guys agree with me, you don't necessarily have to agree with everything that I say. I know there are times that you disagree with me, but you guys are very, very professional and kind, and I appreciate that. So they are cooking the ballot boxes up. That's the perception out there, mind you. They're cooking things up so that things can fall in favor of the PPPC. And we've got to find a way to speak out and expose these things. I say this because it is pretty obvious that something isn't right at all. Something couldn't possibly be right. We have an elections with just about 30% of the votes, the worst in the history of Guyana's local government elections, the worst. And this is an election that the PPP spent billions of taxpayers' dollars that could have gone to somewhere else and something else throughout the country, to build some proper laboratory in a hospital, to buy some hospital beds, to buy some oxygen tanks and these sort of things. But no, they spent billions of dollars. And I know I've said maybe for the elections in terms of bribing citizens, over $1.5 billion for that. They call it cash relief and all manner of things. And then came the school cash grants. That's a form of electoral bribery because there was no justified reasons at all or reason to have the cash grant at this time, other than, as the kids know, even the youngest child out in Guyana knows that it is, and they call it elections money. Elections money at a time when we have elections, and then they hurriedly distributed about maybe $6 or $7 billion, and then they consider that a success story. The money probably is over, it's done with, because 40,000 is just about what, 200 US. School reopens when? We're in June, July, August, September. So 3 months, the stores hardly have back to school stuff. And so for 3 months, they expect the parents to sit on that $40,000, probably push it in the PAI, or you guys know what PAI is, right? Or the usual, you know what I mean, not pocket, but you know where that goes. Tough it up. And, they think people are stupid. That's what they think, that the entire Guyanese population is as gullible as the PPP guys, them at Freedom House and at Office of the President. I don't know, something isn't adding up. Now, let's get back to GCOM. What do you guys think is happening at GCOM right now? What could they possibly be counting? First of all, I'm a bit suspicious with what happened, the counting that happened in Bartica, the counting that happened in Madja, but there's no counting for the coalition in Lethem because for some inexplicable reason, they just didn't contest that. And I didn't, the excuse given for not contesting, it's baloney, it's trash. I can't buy that. That the person who was supposed to have delivered the signatures on nomination day, vehicle broke down, and so they missed the deadline. BS, a bunch of BS. I can't buy that at all. And there's no justifiable reason for not contesting in Lethem. And so because of stupidity, guess what? Lethem now falls in the hands of the corrupt PPP regime. Now let's move on. Anil, good evening to you. Sugrim, Anil Sugrim out in Corriverton. Now, Anil, I know you guys are still, lots of people, all of our folks are still waiting, for GCOM. GCOM has not held a press conference, not that I'm aware of. The opposition is silent on this whole thing? Because look, I'm not knocking at the opposition or the leadership of the opposition, or maybe not just yet, but they should have been vociferous in terms of exposing what is happening and give ball by ball commentary to their support base. Now, some people may say, if they ain't get nothing to report, where you want to say bench up? The usual thing. Or a bench up, shut your mouth. The usual thing, right, Lord Stewart? The usual thing, shut your mouth. It's not about the usual thing or shut your mouth. Is you've got to constantly update your supporters. Even when you have nothing new, find something to say because they want to hear from you. They want to hear from their party's leadership. Say something. Just turn on, call the press, say something. Say, good evening. We are here to report on something that we find to be suspicious. We're not hearing from the leadership of GCOM. There is no press conference. They have shut our 3 commissioners out from any information, and we find that to be suspicious. So what you do now as a political party, you force your political opponents to say something. You force the people at GCOM to say something. You organize about 50 of your comrades. You know what I mean? Comrades. You organize about 50 of them and you put them in front of GCOM with placards, peaceful protest, asking questions. That is how you got to be proactive in this game. You can't sit back and believe that that is the sort of politics of the day that should be considered acceptable. Just don't do that. This is 2023. This is not 1973 or 1983 when there was no social media. There was basically, in our house, we had a big green radio. And this has nothing to do with the color of today, now green, right? We honestly had a big green radio. And that radio was like a television to all of us. We used to listen cricket, and you thought that you were watching TV, how the commentators were crisp. And now Joel Gorner from the northern end comes in and he bows to Capeldav, right? And we are watching this radio, we are listening, and some friends and I in the village, we would, as little boys, we would listen, and you swear to God we were watching TV. And when the commentators, how they say that, oh, and now, who's it? And now Sunil Gavaskar comes in from the southern end and he bows to Vivian Richard. And you would swear that you're watching stuff live on radio. Those were some days. And so the point that I'm trying to make is that those days are gone. We have different mediums now that we can, you have television, you have radio, you have social media is the going thing right now. And our leaders have to know how to play into these sort of new technologies, social media and all these different things. This is not a long time, And so that's why it's important, because when you don't talk to your audience, when you don't talk to your supporters, somebody else will come and talk to them. Somebody else may come and sweet talk them. You know what I mean? Somebody else will probably say something that they may like. And then by the time you prepare now to say something, cat done eat your dinner. Your support base already done confused. You may lose some may get tired, some may get fed up, and some probably just wouldn't have the time to listen to you. Because now is the time you basically need to come out and talk to your support base. As simple as that. I don't want to keep repeating myself and come out and talk to your support base, because if in my Desmond Hoyt voice, you don't want to talk to them, somebody else will talk to them. And somebody else will tell them something or confuse them. Oh, Father. Oh. I almost didn't come on air tonight, right? But I know the importance of talking to you guys. Um, Way back in 2020, people weren't talking to you guys. A lot of the social media commentators and politicians, they went into hiding. They weren't talking. You call some of them, you say, hey, man, let's go on. Oh, no, they take a week off. Mike Pompeo threatened, said some idiotic thing, and a lot of them just ran off, took a week, took a couple of days off. So I know about staying on the battlefield right here, all alone. And so not because of being a bit tired over the past couple of days, I should be neglecting you guys. I opted not to neglect you guys tonight. And so I'm here to talk about GCOM. But before we continue with GCOM, a lot of unscrupulous things happen only in Guyana, right? That you have members of the installed regime behaving as though they are policemen, behaving as though they are GCOM officials. I don't know what's going on in Guyana with these corrupt PPP officials. And then there are not sufficient individuals in the opposition to counter these individuals, to come out and make some statements, not just press releases or so, press conferences. We have lots of shadow ministers and so forth and so on, members of shadow ministers. I don't know. Something is bothering me this evening. Something is bothering me. I looked at a videotape. I looked at a videotape of an incident with what appears to be presidential guards being involved allegedly in grabbing of ballot boxes and escorting ballot boxes and these different things. Yep, sorry about that. Escorting ballot boxes. These are sufficient things that should wake our folks up in the opposition. Wake them up. Say, hey, you guys have to say something. You guys have to voice your opinions. That is what people want, not just a bunch of people on social media sharing these things. It is okay, and I appreciate the fact that people share these things. But people want these things to be addressed by the leaders of the opposition. Let's go to this videotape. It's very, very disturbing in a so-called democratic society. Take a look.
Comes all the government and the police, vehicle, and everybody. Big war. And who got on all the PPP operatives and who got on the fucking mass and all kind of story. Is fucking cool people in this country them biting easy. Easy one on easy when this thing done. Tell you, you got a lot of fucking moderation gonna happen in this country. It's one of the massacre and squant girl, see story. Yeah. They say some fucking easy and then by snatch up all of the ballot box and they beat out. They just rigged this election. Yeah, they just rigged it. See how they big Jacob. Nothing can pass them go no way. Yeah. Nothing can go no way. Yeah, man. Presidential guards, a whole set of thief and a whole set of bandits is here they're operating there. Yeah, a whole set of gunmen who won't got a mask and all kind of thing. Like this country is so bad, right? Yeah, this country here bad.
All right. You heard some descriptions there that maybe you should not have. And let me just say how we operate here. On Bench Up Radio. We respect every ethnic groups across all ethnic groups across the line. And there are good people and bad people in every race. And so that guy who was expressing himself there just expressed himself how he felt at that time. And so the language used, for those of you who are not familiar with those sort of F and S and this and that, my humble apologies to you guys for that. But that is just what is Evan as welcome Evan Prasad. I haven't heard from or about Evan in a while, and if it's the correct Evan is if he is still head of the Guyana Indian organization, Evan Prasad, if that's still you. Evan is laughing at the guy who did the videoing there, and he's saying moderation. Since a little guy growing up in the village of Quarantine, I heard that word moderation. Now, there might not be such a word in the dictionary, moderation, but there's no reason for you to laugh. I assume you're laughing at the guy who did the videoing. Moderation is not more important than what those so-called presidential guards did. And if Evan could focus on the real issue, executive member of the Indian Arrival Committee, I stand corrected. And so of all the things you saw there, Evan, that is all you saw? That is all you saw or heard? The guy say moderation and that's it? I mean, at least if you ask me, Evan, he did way better than how Irfan Ali would pronounce words and so forth and so on, if we are going to get to the pronunciation of words. But outside of that, Evan, again, good to know that you're listening to the program. But outside of that, is that all you heard on that? Is that all you saw? What about the commotion? What about the presidential guards and the guys in masks and all sort of things grabbing ballot boxes? Wouldn't you want to pronounce on those sort of things that we just saw, Evan? And I'm glad that you reminded me that you're an executive member of the IAC, which is the Indian Arrival Committee, an organization in Guyana there that collects hundreds of millions since the formation of taxpayers' monies. And now, don't get me wrong, any religious or any ethnic organization should, with all fairness, get access to taxpayers' monies. But it seems as though, Evan, you guys seem to be very, very lucky. Now, if you want to talk about that, we can call that money ration, not moderation, right? Money ration. We can call that money ration indeed. Not just that, not moderation, money ration. Sorry about that, guys. I'm still at the job, and what do you want me to do, sweetheart? Oh man. All right. All right. All right. Thank you. Give me a kiss. No kiss for Daddy tonight? Come on, quickly. Come on. All right, close the door for me, please. Thank you. All right, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, close the door, please. Yeah, you got caught off guard. And there's no closing of the door, Emma. As we can say, caught off guardation, right? According to Evan. So now Evan is saying here, just not to be distracted, but at least Evan is being respectful to the program. And let's see what Evan is saying here now. Evan is saying $76 million up to 2015. No funds since 2016 to present. Oh, no funds. I wonder why, Evan. I wonder why. Indian Cultural Organization, that's true, just like the AGDA, African Cultural Development Organization as well. I'm sure compared to AGDA, and there's really no comparison. Again, organizations, cultural organizations should be funded for events and so forth. I don't have any problem with that, Evan. But I wonder why you guys, because I know, unlike AGDA and other cultural organizations in Guyana, they have to go out and get their own offices, right? But for how many years, if you can answer this quick question, just pretend it's an interview, Evan. You guys had your office, the Indian Arrival Committee and the Indian Cultural Organization. You guys had your office at the Office of the President, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong, Evan. You can correct me, please, if I'm wrong. Your office was at the Office of the President, right? Oh, you guys received money under the coalition too. Interesting, which is good, right? But prior to maybe 2015, your office was at Office of the President, right? I'm just waiting for Evan because we have to move on. And then Evan can comment on the cowboy culture that we saw there with persons who appear to be presidential guards and vehicles. We don't know if those vehicles belong to questionable businessmen, so-called businessmen, and these sort of different things. All right, so you guys getting a piece of action. I just decided to because look, I'll say this to you. Evan he's never been disrespectful. He's always, and I gotta give him that little prop. So he just made a mockery of the guy moderation. But how many of you guys heard that word even as little kids growing up? Moderation. It's a Guyanese kind of thing. Moderation, you know, moderation. And Evan knew that a lot of moderation took place under the PPP, So let's move on now. Let's head back to this tape because you guys got to see what is happening. And let me just thank Evan for his 2 bits of information. Thank you, Evan. So let us head back to this situation here in Guyana. It is ridiculous, totally uncalled for. And that is why people are of the view that the local government elections were rigged. PPP rigged. That's the perception of the people. And GCOM is not being helpful in this regard at all. So let us try to find out exactly what happened here.
Comes all the government and the police vehicle and everybody. Big war. And who got on all the PPP operatives and who got on their fucking masks and all kind of story. These fucking cool people in this country, them biting easy. These one on easy when this thing done. Tell you got a lot of fucking moderation gonna happen in this country. It's one of the massacre and squant your LC story. Yeah. They say some fucking easy and then by snatch up all of the ballot box and they beat out. They just rig this election. Yeah, they just rig it. See all the big Jacob. Nothing can pass them go no way. Yeah. Nothing can go no way. Yeah, man. Presidential guards, a wholesale thief and a wholesale bandits is here they're operating there. Yeah.
Although according to this according to the person who did the video, the allegations are basically simple. You've heard it, saying that his description that those guys were there to snatch the ballot boxes, and that they were presidential guards, and you saw for yourselves out there. These are things that we would probably need the shadow minister of Home Affairs to come on out and to have a press conference and to talk about these things. because we'll have to assume that what has happened there, that they went to grab the ballot boxes, to take the ballot boxes away. And if in fact that report is accurate, then why is it presidential guards are taking part in blocking off the roads and grabbing ballot boxes? Is that their job? Is that part of their responsibilities? Now, I don't know whether that's the case or not. And these are things, and that tape has been circulating via social media, circulating via social media for a while now, and GCOM has remained silent on the entire issue. The presidential guard, the head of the presidential guard, or the acting commissioner of police, they have not issued a statement to the effect to debunk whatever that individual is saying. So based on that, we will have to assume that what the gentleman was saying there, that gentleman's description is accurate with regards to one, presidential guards involved in snatching of ballot boxes, in removing ballot boxes from polling stations and escorting those ballot boxes to God in heaven knows where. And now, I'm not going to sit here and peddle propaganda. I'm just going along with what is being described on that video, on this video. And if this video, anything in this video was inaccurate, I think GCOM, along with Irfan Ali and others, including Robeson Ben, who sits there as quote-unquote the minister, the installed minister of Home Affairs, they would have by now issued a statement to deny the fact, and this is my point, the fact that they have not denied anything. We just have to, thus far, we have to assume that everything we saw there is accurate. Everything we saw there. We just have to assume that for now. But what is troubling is that there seems to be this consistency across the board with officials of the PPP going into polling stations and behaving as though they are bosses and that they can do whatever they want. They can grab ballot boxes, they can interfere with documents. Just imagine how these PACUs behaved on elections day. We can just imagine that. Not just elections day for local government elections, but we stretch it all the way back to 2020. We are seeing the evidence now, and we can just imagine what actually took place. In my opinion, based on what I'm seeing now and what we are hearing now, it convinces me even more that there was a sinister plot in the 2020 general and regional elections. Is that they sat down and they planned exactly how they're going to execute this here. They knew that part of that diabolical plan was to storm the Guiding Elections Commission's headquarters. Once you storm the headquarters and you create an atmosphere to give this perception that there was some sort of questionable conduct on the part of the officials there, then at GCOM, and then they jump on a mountaintop and cry, foul, 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 thief, thief, thief. That is exactly how they planned that. And so to give this impression that the chairman, Claudette Singh, was under some sort of threat. Now, the only threat Claudette Singh was under back then was from the PPP, Jack Yeo and the PPP. And Claudette Singh indicated that her life was in danger, and she got information that Shel Mohammed, the father of Azruddin Mohammed, wanted her dead. And that's according to Claudette Singh. So a lot of things happened in the 2020 general and regional elections. Some of these things will shock you guys. will shock you guys as to the level of the conspiracy and the sinister plot to snatch a country, to steal an election. I know some of the trench crappos are going to get vexed and they're going to say all sort of things, but the minute they come with this stupidness, they don't last long here. This is not a platform for that. They don't last long here. They're gone in the trench. Now, you be respectful. Look, we're not throwing Evan in the trench. Evan comes, he makes a point. I may disagree with him on some, I may agree on others, but respectful. So you're not going to come here and play that you're going to get disrespectful, Kosovo, this and that. No, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Sorry to the trench crappos. It's not going to happen. We're hearing here from Anil Sugrim. Anil is saying here, and good night to you, Mr. Sugrim, Councillor Sugrim. Anil is saying here, the deputy mayor and others stormed the polling place at Kingston Corriverton after poll was closed and took possession of the ballot boxes. You see what's happening? I don't know where these, what do you call them, observers. I don't know where the observers are. We are not hearing anything from the observers. Nothing from the observers, right? The U.S. had, I think, about 48 observers or somewhere thereabouts. UK sent 3 observers. The private sector commission had about 30 observers. I don't know why the private sector commission feel that they should have observers there, because majority of the Guyanese people do not trust the private sector commission. The private sector commission is basically a PPP front. A PPP front. That is what it is. And then they have the American Chambers of Commerce, Guyana faction of the American Chambers of Commerce, with their observers as well. Every one of them is quiet. Every single one of them. Nothing to say about what is happening right now at GCOM. Absolutely nothing to say at all about the jiggery pokery at GCOM. Claudette Singh is quiet. All of the ABC and the EU and all those individuals are quiet. The observers, not a word. But let me paint this picture to you guys. Just imagine if it was the other way around and the coalition was actually in office. And these things were happening. And coalition officials, ministers, and so forth, just imagine that. Let's take a case as though they were in office still today. And then you hear ministers up on the East Coast with government vehicle and police and sirens and grabbing ballot boxes. We would not have been hearing the end of that. The PPP would have been calling protesters upon protesters and so forth and so on. The PPP would have been in front of GCOM by now. All these things would have been happening. Am I lying? Then the ABC and the EU, the diplomats, all of them would have been meeting and they would have issued a joint statement, a joint press release, questioning X, Y, and Z. But as we would say in Guyana, everybody quiet now? You can't tell me that things have changed so drastically at GCOM and that they are so perfect now and they're God-loving and fearing people at GCOM. Claudette Singh, the CEO, the deputy CEO. Oh, they're all doing the right thing now, right? So there's no need to worry. According to what we're saying. All of them. Nobody's saying anything now. Absolutely nothing. 72 hours after. And they cannot issue the proper results from GCOM. 72 hours after. The opposition, for the most part, quiet. One press conference and they think that that is sufficient in modern day politics. One press conference. You know what you got to do with your political opponents and enemies? You got to keep updating and updating your support base, but nothing, and they feel that it is acceptable. Let's see here. Ports, the guardians of democracy. They have disappeared. There's no guardians of democracy, guardians of hustlers. That is who they are, hustlers. And so they disappeared because there's nothing else for them to talk about. Some of them get little government contracts, some of them drinking big bowl of soup, some of them eating curry out of a karahi, and all manner of things they're doing. All manner of things they're doing. Oh, Brenda. The Crawford and Caesar rest up now. They can't be on every night, Brenda. Good night to you, Brenda. Give them a little rest now. Okay, and so all manner of things. All manner of things. But everybody is so quiet now. It is as though everything the opposition they do is wrong in the eyes of the ABCEU. Everything. And I'm beginning to question that. Every single thing. They don't come out and issue press releases when it's necessary. Across the board. And it seems as though it's just one-sidedness that's happening. And elections that's being rigged in front, right in front of people's faces. Rigged. Look at it. Look at what's happening. We could assume that this is what it is. Rigging a goddamn elections. Sorry, I noticed some pastors around with us. And I don't want to use some words that the pastors will be upset. Anil Sogrim, and then we have others who are listening to us. I gotta behave myself because I really, really want to misbehave. We got some Pandit and Majis and all everybody's on to us. Royal, good evening to you too. Nice to see you guys on. But let's get back to this videotape. Let's get back to this here, and ask why are these things allowed to happen in Guyana? Why? Look at it, guys.
Yeah. Comes all the government and the police vehicle and everybody. Big war. And who won't got on all the PPP operatives and who won't got on the fucking mask. And all that kind of story is fucking cool. People in this country don't buy it easy. Easy one on easy when this thing done. When this thing done, tell you got a lot of fucking moderation gonna happen in this country. It's one of the massacre and squant girl see story. Yeah. They say some fucking easy and then by snatch up all of the ballot box and they beat out. They just rig this election. Yeah, just rig it. See all the big Jacob. Nothing can pass them no way. Yeah.
A lot of these things, and that's not the only questionable act. It's not the only. It's just one of many. I don't know what else. What else can we talk about? We've been calling out GCOM. GCOM has not been saying anything. I don't know what has happened, but let's head back to the elections. Some of these elections are very, very close, according to the PPP, that is. And for me, I think it is questionable. They have rigged it. They have rigged it in some of the tongues. Take, for example, in New Amsterdam, I would put my head on the block that there's no way that the PPP could ever get 3 seats in New Amsterdam. They have rigged it there, my opinion. In Bartica, there's no way the PPP would ever win Bartica. They have rigged it there as well. In Linden, they couldn't because the people, Linden, you don't have to do much campaigning, but the people know. It's like automatic. Linden is kind of like Port Morant. It is automatic. And so congratulations, nevertheless, to the people of Linden who went out and they voted overwhelmingly. But from the PR stand, the PPP, how they rig elections, they believe that if you thief a couple of votes and you get a couple of seats via the PR, they feel from a psychological standpoint that that is a victory for them. And so in Linden, they got 2 seats. 2 seats in Linden. They didn't win the seats based on going out there and winning it outright in a constituency. Is when they tabulate the votes and whatever amount of numbers that makes up the PR list or something to that effect, then they have been, based on that, allocated 2 PR seats in Linden. So 2 of the PPP soup drinkers in Linden will be heading in the city council. All right, good evening to those who are now joining us. Let me see what's on your mind. GT Kabaka, some fancy names. GT Kabaka is saying 2 seats, 2 PR seats. Yes, 2 PR seats in Linden, 2 PR seats. Of course, proportional representatives. Yes, 2 PR seats in Linden. But when we go back to New Amsterdam now, there's no way that the PPP will get 3 seats. 3 seats in. Somebody's asking, Jeremy Marks is asking, what is PR seats? Proportional representatives. Meaning that there are 2 votes. You vote on top and you vote at the bottom. And this is where Evan and his PPP gangs them should have been educating the public about local government elections. They should have been educating the public about local government elections. But for over almost 26 years, they have denied the people of Georgetown or the people of Guyana any sort of proper information or knowledge on local government elections. None whatsoever, because the PPPC does not believe in local democracy. For 20 plus years, they denied the people of Georgetown. They had interim management committees where they installed their own figureheads, a bunch of PACUs to head the IMCs and so forth. Many of you remember Soba or Shoba, whatever her name is, at City Hall. They installed her as town clerk. You know, she probably for Evan and others use words worse than moderation. And at City Hall at that time, she fought with everyone, took away the keys, almost pulled off the extensions from Patricia Chase Green's head when Patricia Chase Green was deputy mayor. Took away the keys from Hamilton Green, taxpayers' money, so that Hamilton Green can't drive a vehicle. And guess who was her bodyguard? Guess who was her bodyguard? Guess who was her bodyguard? Let me see if you guys knew back then. Who was Shoba's bodyguard? And who sent her to guard Shoba, and who was paying him? Let me see if you guys remember. Exactly, Mr. Thompson. Sean Hines, a known death squad operative who worked for then Ronald Gadraj, the then controversial Minister of Home Affairs, who had a death squad. And Axel Williams, along with Sean Hines, went out and did their dirty deeds on behalf of Ronald Gadraj. And now that is why the US, Canadians, and the British revoked his visas. Everything revoked for him. But guess what the PPP did, Ivan? Guess what the PPP did? They made him the High Commissioner to India. But he couldn't travel through the US, Canada, or the UK. He had to reach in India, backtrack. He had to find some other way to meet in India. And so those are the type of people they had around them and still do. Sean Hines was actually guarding Shoba at City Hall with a hot red shoes on. So that's the nature of the PPPC. So when you guys see these guys operating like that, don't be surprised. They do not believe, and again I repeat, they do not believe in democracy. They do not believe in, they do not believe in democracy, and they would do every and anything to rig the elections in order to stay in power or to take control of whatever. And that is what we're seeing right now with the local government elections. Now let's go back to this here, and you will see how a so-called sitting minister behaved. A so-called sitting minister behaved. Minister of Works. Indar, who behaved worse than an Ignar. Now, take a look at this. And we haven't heard anything from the opposition, no press statements, no nothing, absolutely nothing at all. Everybody's quiet. Everybody's quiet. Now, take a look at how this Indar behaved.
This is the thing that will have to speak in God. You never have to be there. I did not look around. You have to say anyhow. Are you not opening your mouth on people like that? Talk to me, still over. You're telling me that you talk to me. I want you to go home. No! Shut up! He's not supposed to be here. Mr. Darren, not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here. No, you're not supposed to be here.
You guys heard it, right? That is what happened. And these things don't lie. But the PPP guys are not going to want to talk about that. They're going to want to distract you about something happened in 1964 or 65 and this and that. And this is 2023. A lot of us weren't around those days or those years. Let's talk about what happened Monday. Let's talk about the rigging of elections on Monday. These are things that we got to talk about. We don't need to be distracted, guys, right? Look at how a sitting so-called government official in the installed PPP regime, look at how he behaved. Look at how he behaved. As though he has that God-given right to walk in there. He's powerful with his little 3-month big guts. Walk in there and demand that he's this and that. If I had my way, I would have handcuffed him, shackled him, and dash him in the lockups for 72 hours. Because that's what he did there is a crime. And these guys are behaving like 10 cents thugs. It's more than just arrogance. It's not just, it's ignorance. It's power drunk. That is how you give them a little power, and that's how they behave. worse than a pig. That's how they behave. No manners, disaccustomed. That is what they suffer from. Power drunk. I know such is not just confined to some of these pakus who are in office right now. You know what I mean? Somebody's asking to take a look at it. Yes, this is the installed Minister of Works, Junior Minister of Works. He is under so-called Bishop Edgil. He's under Edgil, but he behaves as though he's more powerful than Edgil. Let's go back and watch this whole corrupt process.
This is the thing I will have to speak in God. You will never have to be there. You want to say anyhow? Are you not okay about some people like that? Talk to me, say no. You're telling me that I want you to go home. No! Shut up! He's not supposed to be here. Mr. Darren not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be here. No, he's not supposed to be here. No, you were downstairs. I asked you to hold on. She's lying. You see, she's a liar.
He needs to be handcuffed and dumped in the lockups for at least 72 hours. Thanks, Lemon. In case you guys miss Evan, we have gotten tired of him and his distraction. So Evan went straight in. You know where? The trench, because he's just here to distract us, and we're not about distraction any longer. So when they come with that sort of attitude, throw them in the trench. So Evan has gone in the trenches, just in case you missed him. So we wouldn't miss him, right? We wouldn't miss him. He's in the trench. In fact, with his behavior tonight, he got to get this here. This is for him. So somebody who knows him could tell him that he got an award for tonight. Just like that, Evan got an award, plus he gone right in the trench. Right in the trenches he's gone. And that's it. All right. So, hey, guys, there's nothing else to report other than the fact that GCOM is silent. No difference when it comes to the leadership of the opposition. They seem to be experiencing GPL blackout in terms of any information. They're silent also. Jack Dale has been silent for the most part today. Irfan Ali seemed to have gone into hiding. Claudette Singh is in hiding. She's probably peeping this show because, she loves to peep. She does. And so before we go, I want to ensure that we give her the award right here for the most incompetent chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission. A woman who sold an entire country out. Unpatriotic, selfish woman. We are hearing of a heck of a lot of nepotism and corruption inside of GCOM. all under her stewardship. And so tonight she deserves this award. Let me see if you guys know what award she will be getting. In just 30 seconds, she will be getting an award from all of us here on 107.1 FM, because the evidence is pointing in the direction that the local government elections have been rigged in some areas in favor of the corrupt installed PPPC regime, those shameless vagabonds. And now let's give her her award. All right. Hey, you guys go have a good night's rest. Those of you who are at work, hope you continue to enjoy the night. Don't work too hard. Continue to pray for our country all across the board. Pray for our country. Pray for better leadership. And I really do mean that. Better leadership across the board. Across the board. Better leadership. We deserve that, don't we? Guyanese deserve that. Guyana doesn't deserve to be abused in the manner it's being abused. Its citizens do not deserve to be abused in the manner that they're being abused. That is why I'm saying we need better leadership all across the board. Caring leadership all across the board. Guyana needs help. It's bleeding and it's crying for help. Can we sit by or sit back and allow these vagabonds to ruin our beautiful country? These selfish vagabonds to ruin our country? Should we allow that? Should we sit back, or should we play our role? Most of us are doing just that, playing that role in standing up and confronting the wicked and demonic creatures in office right now. The installed, don't ever let's lose track of this description. They are what they are, installed. They have been installed through a rigged system. Let's not move away from that. Let's not ever change that description until their final day in office. We will continue to say that they have been installed. It is an installed regime, nothing else. I'm just reading some of your comments, and hopefully we will hear from some of these guys tomorrow. Hopefully they'll have something proper to say, not those in the installed PPP regime, but at least those in the opposition. Good evening to the folks at Village Voice. Village Voice. You guys have to go on the Village Voice for proper news. Forget about the PPP propaganda media outlets. Go to the Village Voice, see what is happening. Share the Village Voice news. Share it all over. Don't share the waste of time news, the PPP propaganda. Don't share them. Share proper news stuff and proper individuals, shows and so forth and so on. Don't get caught up with the PPP's propaganda. Jack Dave has launched an attack against the Village Voice. That is because they can't control the Village Voice, or entities that they can't control, they attack. But I know the folks over at Village Voice are strong enough to stand up against that 5 cents so-called bully, that demonic individual, Barra Jack Dale. Good night to all of you, every single one of you. And as you go to bed tonight, remember that you heard it here, that the PPPC has rigged the 2023 local government elections to suit them in certain areas. Areas where they couldn't rig. It was too much for them to rig. They just turned a blind eye, or they just didn't pay much attention in rigging, but they ensured that some of their folks got 1 or 2 PR seats. It's not over yet. You guys will be shocked when GCOM finally speaks. Because right now, the perception, mind you, the perception by most Guyanese is that GCOM is currently rigging, assisting the PPP in fumbling up the votes, as we would say, fumbling up the votes in favor of the PPPC. So y'all be careful. I've got to go, though. Good night to all of you, every single one of you, right? God bless you. And we continue to pray for our nation. We've got to do that. After the local government elections, everything is settled down, so to speak. We'll get back to this person, Home Affairs Permanent Secretary, phone confiscated by U.S. authorities. She's gotten it back, but we haven't forgotten her. We haven't forgotten her. And we haven't forgotten the case. And this guy, Azruddin, I'm not sure if the police still have him down as a murder suspect in the murder of Paper Shorts. I'm not sure. But we will get back into those situations and more. So for now, have a good night. God bless you. And God bless our beautiful, beautiful country. So long.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop at...
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.